Sadie, I just don't know what to do anymore. I feel like my best days are behind me, that I'll never create videos as good as I was making in 2017 again.
This is a deck I'm calling Prediction Pot Dolls.
Those were peak. What do you think? Should I hang it all up? You're right. It's time to get back to my roots. For the first time in years, I'll make a 10-minute testing that's 10 minutes long.
Good afternoon, jank enthusiasts. I'm MBT, and this is 10-Minute Testing. You know, it's been a while since we've had one of these that actually lasted 10 minutes, and this month's Patreon is Mokey. So why not relive the good old days of me trying to barf out content at Mach 3 and see if we can't get this done just above mid-roll. Presenting, for some unknown reason, Mokey.
Let's just throw down.
Far out. So here's the list. As always, I'll give you a background about the archetype, a little bit of a discussion about what I hope the deck can do, and of course the card by card. But first, this video is sponsored by Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro Deck. Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro Deck is the #1 place to go if you need a pack simulator, a card database, or want to read a wealth of strategy articles. They also post breakdowns and lists from every major TCG and Master Duel tournament, including the Master Circuit series. Give them a look at www.ygoprodeck.com. So with that, let's make Mokey happen. Jesus, that ad read cost us like 30 seconds. Anyway, Mokey is a 1-star vanilla monster played by a 4'10" pot-smoking child in GX. I know, I was shocked they got the Gage cameo too. Anyway, for some inexplicable reason, Konami couldn't leave well enough alone and gave this joke archetype a very real piece of legacy support in Power of the Elements, Mokey Adrift. That's right, while some duelists were trying to make Tearlament work pre-Ishizu, others were digging up beat-to-shit copies of a 1-star fairy. Unfortunately for me, there is something you can manage with these Mokeys. Enchanting Fitting Room, Tri-White, Piercing Darkness, and Treasure Panda all roughly equate to 1 million pieces of link material, provided you're willing to jam your deck full of bricks. Using these human wave tactics, we can summon powerful fusions like First of the Dragons through Proxy F, decent link boards through IP and access code, and we can even make Zeus via Assembled Nightingale. So with that, let's get into the card by card. First up, Mokey Adrift. This card's name becomes Mokey and it's a normal monster while it's face up on the field or in the graveyard, and you can discard a card to add a Mokey from your deck to your hand, except for Mokey Adrift. Treasure Panda allows you to banish up to 3 spells traps in your graveyard face down and special summon a normal monster from your deck whose level equals the number of cards banished to activate this effect. And we've got a whole bunch of 1-star normals: Mokey, Charcoal Inapachi, and Flamvel Guard. We're playing Droll and Lockbird as well because it has some incidental synergy with Where Art Thou. After that, we've got 3 copies of Unexpected Die, 3 copies of Painful Decision, a 1-for-1 Apolymerization, 3 Enchanting Fitting Room, which allows you to excavate the top 4 cards of your deck and special summon all excavated level 3 or normal monsters. 3 copies of Where Art Thou, which, provided you've got a level 1 monster on the field, adds a level 1 monster to your hand. Tri-White, which allows you to target 3 level 2 or lower normal monsters in your graveyard and special summon them from the graveyard. Called by the grave, Mokey Smackdown, which, if a face-up fairy monster you control is destroyed while you control Mokey, turns all your Mokeys into 3,000 attack point beaters. And 3 copies of Piercing the Darkness, which, importantly, allows you to draw a card when you special summon a non-token normal monster. In the extra, we've got First of the Dragons, which is a towers that can be made with 2 normal monsters. Mokey King, which we're playing for funny reasons. Zeus, Downer Magician, Assembled Nightingale, Ensemble Blue Robin, just 1-stars we could theoretically make with our normal monsters, and a bunch of link monsters that probably won't come up in the side. We've got Harpies, Feather Duster, Infinite Impermanence, Cosmic Cyclone, Druid Worm, Pankratops, and Dark Ruler no more. So with that, let's jump into the games. Our first match is up against Runic. They're playing like an Earthbound Immortal suite, but they're also playing a Goatee suite. This deck seems to be like an incestuous melange of me and Joshua Schmidt. We'll see how it turns out. We are going first, and we have the combo. We'll begin with a Painful Decision in order to send a Mokey for a Mokey, fire off a 1-for-1 in order to grab a Mokey Adrift from deck, and then go to a Link Spider. Link Spider allows us to special summon this copy of Flamvel Guard. Let's go into a Linkaribo and a Proxy F Magician. Now it's time to get white. Try white for all 3, including the Mokey Adrift, which is, of course, a normal monster in the graveyard, and then we'll Proxy F to go into a copy of Mokey King. Next, we're going to go for Treasure Panda. We're going to use this one at a time. We'll get a Flamvel Guard, then we'll go ahead and get a copy of Mokey, and then, of course, we can make an Anima, activate Linkaribo's graveyard effect, and end on a copy of Apollosa as well. We can fire off it one more time in order to get Charcoal Inapachi and end on a mask, though I don't know what we're making with the mask. Our opponent's going to begin with a copy of Runic Tip. They're going to grab from deck to hand the field spell. Next, they're going to go ahead and activate Runic Slumber to special a Runic from the deck. They're going to get Hugin. Hugin here is going to activate. We might as well negate it. Any opportunity to activate this effect of Apollosa against a Runic deck I'm going to take. They go for Prisoner afterwards. We will Masquerade on activation of Runic Fountain, but they have the Flashing Fire, which of course we can't negate. And then afterwards, they're going to activate Smiting Storm to banish the top 2 cards of our deck and refill their hand. That is really just miserable miserable for us. They find off the top of their deck a copy of Willy, which means we will get to negate it, but they also will get to go into an SP Little Knight and banish our Linkuriboh from the graveyard. That's funny. They'll go to battle in end phase. Of course, they can't do anything in battle because they have activated a bunch of runic spells. We're going to go into our own Little Knight, and we're just going to get into Little Knight wars real quick. We're going to go Little Knight on their Little Knight, and they're going to Little Knight our Little Knight, so we'll Little Knight their Little Knight, and we'll banish the Mokey, go to the battle phase, go to the end phase, and get back our Mokey King. Our opponent's going to draw a Hopier for turn. They're going to go for Destruction to summon a runic from their extra deck, getting a copy of Gary. They'll activate Fountain here in order to shuffle 3 back and draw 3 additional cards, and things are looking pretty bleak here. They're going to normal a Hopier Squadron to go for Arianpas. That's pretty cool. You actually don't have to devote too much main deck space to the goatees just because Arianpas is generic. This is something I might play with in a future variation of the deck, but it means that in standby they're going to be able to activate the effect of Paces and have access to an 8 whenever they want. We're going to activate Painful Decision. They're going to Ash, and oh god, we got to get out of this one. We'll SP Little Knight in response to the Paces to banish this copy of Arianpas. They're going to SP our SP, and it's the only thing keeping us in this game, but it's not sufficient, so let's go next. Jesus, that took forever. Can this virtual world player at least Mayakashi lock us or something? They're going first. They're going to begin with a copy of GG. They're going to activate Lili targeting the GG and setting from deck to graveyard a copy of Qinglong and a copy of Xuanwu. That Qinglong is going to convert into a copy of, unsurprisingly, Lulu. They're going to activate Lulu despite being under Droll and Lockbird. They are going to send a copy of Chuche to the graveyard. Then they're going to go into Gabonga and activate the effect of Mean Merciless. Okay, I'm in. That's pretty cool. Afterwards, they're going to go into a Cicada King, activate Chuche in order to modulate the level of their Lili, and then make a Shen Shen as well. This is disastrous for us. We're going to draw for turn. That's a Mokey. We'll begin with a copy of Unexpected Die. That's going to grab us a Mokey from deck. From here, we can normal summon a Mokey and go for Assembled Nightingale. We're just trying to Zeus him out at this point. We're going to get in for 800 points of damage. Then in main phase 2, we're going to overlay for a Downard and overlay for a Zeus. We're going to go ahead and fire that Zeus. They're going to Cicada King, but of course we have 2 activations, so we'll activate it again. We do get to eat the board here, but of course they have follow-up and we really don't. We're going to set 1 card and pass back to our opponent. They draw a Qinglong. They're going to go Xuanwu. We'll Called by the Grave the target of the Xuanwu, which means that they don't even get to send. They're going to bring back Shen Shen and then go into a Typhon. Typhon's going to bounce the Zeus. Wow, it's just like in my anime. And they get in for 29. Luckily for us, we don't have too many cards with 3,000 or more attack. That's another Treasure Pander. We're going to go for this copy of Enchanting Fitting Room, finding off the top. Okay, I mean, a Mokey is not nothing. It's just almost nothing. We're going to normal summon this copy of Panda and grab ourselves a copy of Inapachi, and then, of course, we're going to activate it again in order to summon a Flamvel Guard. From here, we can go into an Apollosa for 4 and walk over the Typhon, and then we have the Apollosa for future turns. Our opponent's going to draw, and unfortunately, that Qinglong that they couldn't really get value out of by pitching to the graveyard really checks the Apollosa quite well. So they're just going to immediately reduce it to 0, bring back the Shen Shen, go to the battle phase, and walk over for 28. And now we just have to pray that we can draw something that beats E-Telly. Where Arf that was not it, so we'll concede. So it's time for that all-important Game 3, and what is our opponent playing? But you guessed it, Fire King Snake Eye. This is not going to go well. Our hand looks pretty good. We're going to begin with a copy of Piercing the Darkness and follow it up with an Unexpected Die, which gets ashed. Okay, well, we'll normal summon a Flamvel Guard and hope to draw out of it. Tri-White is not it. We'll just go Linkuriboh pass. And now we do have Droll and Lockbird, which is pretty bad against Snake Eye Pure, but fine against Fire King Snake Eye. We'll use it as CL2 to Poplar CL1. They are still going to get the Poplar, of course, and then they're going to go for Linkuriboh, activating the effect of the Popular in order to set itself, then send itself for the Diabell Star, doing the little yoinky sploinky here. They're going to go Ash afterwards in order to summon a Flamberge from deck, and then they'll send the Flamberge with the Sinful Spoil Snake Eye to get this Snake Eye Oak out of hand. Afterwards, they're going to go into an IP Masquerena, into the Oak in order to grab another Ash, and then into a Promethean Princess. That's going to bring back the Flamberge, which of course can activate targeting the IP Masquerena. They're not going for like a lethal push here. They're just trying to get to a position where we can't possibly bring it back. I think they probably managed their resources here wrong, but shouldn't matter. They do have a lot of stuff at their disposal. We're going to go Mokey and Piercing the Darkness. They're going to go for the Promethean Princess here. We're going to go for our Linkuriboh, which will prevent the pop of the Mokey, but still doesn't prevent the Princess from resolving. We'll go into Anima. They put it in the wrong zone. That forces them to activate an Effect Veiler on the Anima, which means that now we're free to try white. We actually might get out of this one. We'll summon 3 1-star monsters from our graveyard, and then afterwards we're going to go into a copy of Unicorn, use Unicorn to spin this copy of the Princess, and then overlay for an Assembled Nightingale. We're going to end on a Zeus as well. We'll get in for 22, for 4, and then in main phase 2, of course, we can overlay for Downard Magician and followed up with the big boy himself. We'll go to the end phase and pass it back to our opponent who draws for turn of Veiler. Things are looking pretty good. Unfortunately, this deck gets to play out of its graveyard as well, so they'll begin with OSS into an Ash. They're going to activate the effect of the Ash for a Popular. They'll activate the effect of the Poplar, summoning it, and then activating its on-field effect to get the field spell, and then afterwards we're going to go for the field spell. This seems like a pretty good time to Zeus, so we'll go ahead and fire it here, and they'll activate Poplar's effect in order to set a Flamberge, making our follow-up Zeus functionally useless. We can't kill them here. here, so we have to fade one additional draw step, plus maybe one more if they set Valor. But it's not even going to matter because they draw a Wanted off the top. That's going to grab them the Diabellstar from the graveyard, and at this point they can just win the game. Flamberge here triggering off of the send from Diabellstar. They're going to set OSS and summon 2 from graveyard. We can, of course, Zeus once, but it's not going to be sufficient to beat the entire board because from this position they have both the ability to kill our Zeus now and also extension afterwards. They're going to go Ash for Ash. We will Zeus. They'll link Haribo in order to keep this Poplar engraved for the time being, then trigger the Poplar in order to reset the Ash afterwards. They're going to normal summon an Ash and then go for a copy of Flamberge Dragon. Flamberge is going to shoot that sucker into the back row and get in for 3,000. I struggle to think what would actually do it from this position, especially into 2 hand traps, and Flamvell Guard is not it. We can link Haribo here in order to prevent a death, but it's not going to last very long. They are going to take this copy of Zeus and then draw for turn. That should be all she wrote. They're going to go into a Hita, trigger the effect of the Flamberge, summon 2 Snake Eyes from grave, go into Seliner, activate the effect of Selene in order to summon nothing. They're just going to go access code Talker. All right, well, let's scoop it up, I suppose. So clearly our first turn board isn't going to be sufficient to beat this deck, so I figure why don't we just try to like open a couple of pieces of non-engine and let them go first. Unfortunately, we don't open any, so for game 2 they're going first, fully uninterrupted. They're going to pitch this copy of Delta. Jesus, is Jesse Cotton at the other end of the table? They're going to go for this copy of the OSS and then activate the effect of Ash. Ash for Poplar effect in order to summon it. They're going to activate the on-field effect of Poplar. That's going to grab them a copy of OSS. They'll activate Hunter Fiend here and grab an Ash. Next, they're going to summon from their deck an Oak. They'll activate the effect of the Oak, targeting the Ash, targeting the Poplar, and then afterwards they are going to special a copy of Link Haribo. They'll trigger the effect of the Oak, sending the Flamberge for a Flamberge, and trigger the Flamberge in order to summon back Oak and Ash. From here, they can go into a copy of Masquerena, into Promethean Princess, Flamberge target the IP Masquerena, Princess in order to bring back just some dummy guy, so we can go into Amblo Whale with the IP Masquerena in the back row. Didn't even set this copy of Crossout Designator. Maybe would have been able to stop this Called by the Grave. We'll go Fitting Room here. We find, I guess, a couple of monsters, but it's not going to be sufficient, I don't think. They're going to activate the effect of Divine Temple here in order to summon out the Popular, and then activate the Popular in order to grab another copy of OSS. We'll overlay for a Nightingale, threatening this copy of Zeus, but they're going to shotgun this IP Masquerena, then activate the effect of the SP Little Knight, banishing the assembled Nightingale as we normal summon Treasure Panda. They're going to banish the Treasure Panda on activation. Probably correct. We'll go ahead and get a Mokey from deck, and then we'll activate Where Art Thou for a copy of Droll and Lockbird. They're going to Droll after we get Droll, which allows us to go Anima and take their monster. That's cool. And then Tri-White allows us to summon 3 monsters back. I mean, we're in a decent position, but of course this deck thrives on follow-up, and we really don't have it. We'll go Battle Phase in order to crash their monster. They're going to bring back this copy of Masquerena, and then we'll just pass turn here, taking 2,000 in the end phase. They're going to go access code Talker first and foremost. Unfortunately, not a lot we can do about that. They'll eat the Ensemble Blue Rabina. They'll eat this copy of Treasure Panda, and then they'll activate OSS. Okay, this game is over. There you go. So we're back with the deck, and it's ass! What did you expect? Let's blow through the pros and cons. First, the pros. 1, they'll basically just print anything on a card that supports 1-star normal monsters. Tri-White is just Soul Charge. 2, you get to play Mokey, and that's funny. And 3, I don't know, cut me some slack. And the cons. Everything! Everything! What do you want me to say? It loses to every hand trap. It loses to every board breaker. It loses to itself! Holy! All in all, don't build this. All right, how'd we do? Oh, not even close. That's one of the things I hate about this format. It even takes a long time to lose. All right, better do the Patreon read in that case. These videos are basically subsidized by, and occasionally suggested by, my Patreons. If that's something that's interesting to you, please check out the link in the description. For now, I'd like to shout out my high-tier patrons, including Elena Tincher, Alex Perea, Allison Elliott, Brett Henry, Canner, Seaweed, Darkmaster Zork, Derp and Dragon, Devin Senpai, DJ Elephant, Enraged Peacock, Gravity, Half Miss, John Piet, Juan Cruz Avila Zati, Night Mary, Legal Rights, Luis Hernandez, Matthew M. Derezo, MBT Play Madolce, Mike Carlotti, N54 Lionheart, Puffin of Doom, Rabout, Rose Lapine, Solar Flare the Ricka Queen, Troy Says By Erasure is Gay, Vincent Storm, Who's Nick, Wonder Waffle, Your Pot of Greed Does What, and Yuki. I couldn't have done it without you.